Right. Hello, federal viewers. Today we have Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to Japan, and we want to look at what this would mean for India's India-Japan commerce, the technology exchange, and the startup ecosystem. So here with us is Khader Sheriff. He's a veteran entrepreneur. He's got Asta and Osis and many other companies to his credit, and he's also an investor in many fintechs across the board in India, Singapore, and Japan. And he's also fluent in Japanese. And so Sheriff is very familiar with multinational IT services, AI-driven ventures, and as an investor, he has seen many high-value exits. So to start off with, can I ask you, you've lived and worked in both India and Japan. And today, India-Japan bilateral trade is set to reach about 28.85 billion. So how do you assess the trajectory of this growth over the next decade?
Okay, if you look at the the dynamics of business and trade in this part of the region between the collaboration of India and Japan, it is growing substantially. Like we have seen the trends. Like double-digit growth in the past few years. On almost most of the sectors. So having said, working in Japan, having an experience, like invested on multi, investment portfolios, the opportunities are enormous. Like we have a long way to achieve. We have a lot of kind of opportunities exist in silos. So we have to bridge the platform to make sure from the root level we create the networking and then the platform, so that the collaboration between Japan as well as in India is able to shine. When we started our ventures in Japan 2 decades ago, so we had a lot of difficulties on the culture, on the language. Now it has become very easy. Like we have the technology enablement which can actually enable us to achieve what we want to actually between the countries. Like it can make a lot of difference.
Sure. So, and what sectors are you seeing this promise? Is it technology, manufacturing, startups? Where are you seeing the greatest, most number of collaborations?
Okay, so in the next few years, like I see a substantial opportunities on green initiatives and ESG goals. Like Japan as a country has a lot of set of processes. Like they have been doing wonderful jobs on net zero and carbon related framework investments. If you remember it, just to highlight, Japan Bank of International Cooperation, it is specifically designed to pump in investments on these green initiatives. Green initiatives is one of the important things where the invention on solar, the kind of sustainable energy generation. A lot of investment funds are available with Japan region itself. And other than that, there's a technology and AI related initiatives, especially focusing on healthcare, education, and smart cities. If you see, today we are talking about smart cities now, but a year, a decade ago, Japan had a system of, initiatives on how the city is to be planned. They are very good at processes. The AI has actually impacted a lot. Manufacturing, for example, is actually leveraging the India scale and Japan process excellence. We have to the factories offshore collaboration will actually help to create the make in India vision to be good in very very faster time phase, and especially to focus on the startup and innovation ecosystem, the co-incubation programs where Japanese firm can mentor and then the Indian founders can actually test the disruptive solutions. The Japan technology with Indian manufacturing is a win-win situation. It's a golden feather on the cap, and we can sustain and make it indigenous over the period of time. So, just to summarize, green initiatives, technology front AI initiatives with joint R&D collaboration, manufacturing sectors, and disruptive startup innovation ecosystems, along with the Japanese, pillars will actually help us to sustain.
Sure. When it comes to Japanese interest in India, don't you think companies like SoftBank, like VCs like SoftBank, East Ventures, Mizo Capital, they have been quite interested in the Indian startup ecosystem and have also been a part of many Indian unicorns journey. Like today, India has more than 100 unicorns, and some credit should have to go to the vision that Japanese investors saw in us, the potential. So going forward, where do you see Indian entrepreneurs when it comes to tapping the Japanese market, and not just Japan VC capital, but do you also see them entering the Japanese, market itself, like where they make a move to Japan, East Asia, Southeast Asia?
Okay, just to address this perspective, we have to summarize this as a complementary strength between each other as a country to get into a lot of like agreements. Japan firms usually have a long-term vision. Like they ensure the stability, while Indian startups have a agile, like allow rapid experimentation together. So for me to do the experiment in Japan is going to be very expensive and consume a lot of time and energy. Together with this synergy, like we can reduce the time to market without compromising the quality itself. Like Japan is actually meant for superior quality. They have the least number of failure rates on any product and services which they actually deliver. Like going back to the unicorns and startups, like when we say complement each other, the Japanese companies can actually provide us the infrastructure, the expertise, the global credibility is one of the key item which we can focus, and everything boils down to the capital is one of the important thing which is vastly available in Japan. You see billionaires, like leveraging the funds which is available in Japan region. Instead, if you know about the situation in Japan, like couple of quarters or years before, Japan had a negative interest rate, which means when you have an account in Japanese bank, you will have to pay fees to the government. We were able to get and leverage funds with 0% without any interest itself. The days are gone. The moment when Japan imposed some 0.25 percentage, 0.5 percentage of interest, the entire market around the world actually was very, disturbed a little bit. A lot of shift has actually happened. So to summarize, the speed, creativity, and cost-effective scaling can be done from the Indian counterpart side. And then the capital, infrastructure, the expertise, global credibility comes from the Japanese side of expertise.
Right. So, Prime Minister Modi's visit aims to deepen strategic ties. So, how do you see this as translating into benefits for entrepreneurs and SMEs? And also, do you think at any point there will be a possibility for collaboration on deep tech? Because, deep tech is one of those areas where India lags and the US and China have gone far ahead of us. So when it comes to core infrastructure AI versus applied AI, where do you see India, and where do you see this partnership with Japan?
Okay, so deep tech is one of the interesting term. Like it is where the technology companies actually mince a lot of money through, like interest on investments from big capital companies. So with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's journey, so we need to tackle the main challenges which actually the Indian entrepreneurs actually face working with Japan and Japanese enterprises. The main challenges before it was language, regulatory complexity, and the conservative approach to risk-taking Japanese market. Now, like we will have to make sure, like we have the base, like with the lots of MOUs and other kinds of ground level initiatives. So we need to encourage the SMEs to actually, like the thought process of Indian entrepreneurs to do business is actually in Japan thinks very difficult. Like actually it is not. Couple of decades ago, we had a lot of challenges in, like even talking on a simple Japanese. Now we are able to speak in Japanese. Japanese are able to communicate in English very well, well fluently, and the collaboration has actually shined a lot. We, like the Indian entrepreneurs offer underestimate the importance of local partnership and cultural adaptation. So we need to overcome these barriers, and we need to channelize the networking so that the community of people can collaborate and gain the trust in the Japanese market. So Japanese are type of a person where they trust, like they work as a family for very long time. Typically, in my case, like I've been associated with Japanese customer for last close to 3 decades. they believe and trust as a family together. Like if you look at the
Okay.
situations where a person who joins a company on an internship, he completes the entire life in a single company and retires as a family. That will not happen in India, Diaspora.
Oh my God, the
So
loyalty is too deep.
yeah,
So would it be viewed as a betrayal if you resigned?
it's not like that, but people are committed. They work on a specific sector. They grow vertically, like, and they become an SME of that perspective. So for us to
So
work
these
with Japanese
partnerships are long
counterpart,
term, is it? The
yes, very,
partnerships
very
with the
long term.
Japanese company would be long term.
So
Okay.
imagine I have one customer who was about 3 decades doing business with us, but they will work
Okay.
only on continuous improvements, quality improvements. What is the new items we have discovered over the period of quarter and quarter? That's very important for continuous improvement. So for us, we need to take the market very seriously, gain the confidence and trust of Japanese counterparts, and then with that, we'll be able to do a lot of opportunities waiting for us to collaborate with them.
Sure. So if you were advising both governments, what would be the single policy change that you feel can best unlock the potential of India and Japan?
Okay, so basically, like we need to make some of the green initiatives on, like barrier-free collaboration. That's very important. If I were to suggest one change, it has to be bilateral Indo-Japanese startup innovation ecosystem corridor has to be built. The framework has to be clear and simplified with the regulatory and approval processes. Funding is not a problem in Japan side. If we have the right solution, deep tech, like information, the entire framework will work automatically. The green channel corridors for POCs, the MVP has to be built, and then welcoming special projects which requires ease of doing businesses. For example, if Apple want to do a set up an offshore center in India, where it requires to do some kind of a innovation and incubation kind of an activity. So these are the sectors which request some of the components sourcing to be brought into the country, do some kind of a verification and validation, and then they are certified and they go for a mass production, right? So this kind of a projects has to be focused a lot where it is depending on supply chain. So if you look at it, most of the optimized business opportunities come with a piece of a software, and it comes often a piece of a hardware. So it could be manufacturing, it could be like deep tech. We need the base of hardware and the software and the aggregation platform to work together. So we need to differentiate between the trading companies versus the technology companies. That's very important. We bring in goods not for trading. We bring in goods to improve its form factor, value add to it, and then we sell it in the open market, like at a much appreciated price. So we need to make sure, like I will just give a simple example. Since we are sitting in this part of the region, if I have to ship some components from Japan to Singapore, the evening 5 o'clock shipment picked up in Japan is delivered to me in my office at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay,
Everything is
wow.
sorted. Yes, everything is sorted. Customs is clear. Logistics is taken care. The same validation I do it today, then ship it back to Japan. It goes on the next day. So which means accelerate the time to the market. That's very important. We are working on a time bomb situation, right? So we need to have the policies pertaining to the imports, exports, and then the compliances, everything. If it is for a niche specified requirement, we will have to exempt those things so that we have the leverage of working freely. Like if we're not today in Singapore, if I've given an opportunity to set up an office in India, definitely would love to do that. Like Japanese customer based in India, execution of projects, right? Like, but the barrier for me is like the example which I've given, like the shipment of specific, like high quality, high precision product to come to India takes about 10 to 15 days, even if it is not possible to clear the customs and other logistic challenges and all. I can't, like for sure, work on the time-based schedule to go back to my customer and say this is done, not done. So we need to ease the policy pertaining to differentiate the trade between the innovation side as well as the commodity trading side. That's very important.
Okay, sure. So before we wrap up, I want to ask you like a soft question. So I remember when the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping had come, like he said, I've watched Dangal. That was his like opening line to Modi. So similarly, given that like Tamil movies have already been a hit in Japan, do you see like India leveraging on its soft power when we go there for the summit?
Yeah. So, like
Apparently,
Japanese,
Rajinikanth is a star.
yeah, we have Rajinikanth fans in Japan, like Udru, they call it as Udru Raja. So we have the Rajinikanth Basha auto running in Japan also. So we have a lot of fans for the actress Meena in Japan as well. Like the cultural exchange programs happens at all level on Indian community with Japanese, but that happens only in that part of the region. It does not happen here. So we need to welcome the Japanese to experience in India the same ways we need to, like reciprocate the same so that the things becomes easy for the collaboration perspective. The Japanese will feel very comfortable back home. Like we have seen a lot of Koreans in Chennai, India, like after the Hyundai has actually set it up in Sriperumbudur. There are Japanese companies, the Suzuki has become very indigenous, that's fine. But we need to give and create opportunities for companies to explore and come and at least taste the sweetness of the Indian soil. That's very important.
Sure. Thank you so much. And it was such a pleasure having you with us. And it's been an eye opener hearing about Japan from through your eyes. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Arigato gozaimasu.